Welcome to Masters of Self University podcast, your highest source of sacred truths and universal wisdom. Hello, beautiful souls. I'm Rachel Fiori, mystic, spiritual teacher, psychic healer, and founder of Masters of Self University. Join our journey of soul transformation as we deep dive into this latest episode.
Quick announcement, we are currently filling our May group class. If you're interested in learning the work that we offer here at MSU, we are filling a group to begin the end of May. So if you're interested in learning the power within, how to awaken and connect to your own internal source of divine power, and how to see and heal all those programs and wounds that we've all accumulated in our lifetime, this is the course for you. This is the group classes that we offer. We're currently enrolling students now, and we've got 4 more positions available. So if you want to be one of those people, please follow the link below, sign up for a free consultation, and I hope you enjoy this podcast. Thank you.
Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to Masters of Self University podcast. I'm Rachel Fiori, your host for this episode. I want to dive in to something that I've been witnessing in the collective lately, and that is massive throat chakra elevations. I am seeing it with so many people. I've been seeing it for the past month, and I would say the past couple of weeks, depending on when you're listening to this podcast. I am noticing and observing intensive throat chakra clearings, elevations, up levels, and I'm going to explain why. So if you have tonsillitis, if you have a sore throat, if you have laryngitis, if you have been experiencing any physical symptoms in your throat chakra, and or if your programs, your wounds, your unhealed stuff has been coming more and more to the surface, such as being afraid to post on social media and be seen and speak, what you're here to offer to the world. If you've been experiencing stuff like that, I want you to understand what's going on. For far too long, so as a global collective, this is something that is happening collectively. Okay. So there are massive amounts of people that are experiencing this right now. And if you're not necessarily one of them, that's okay. There are so many people in this world that need to up level and heal their fear of using their voice for divinity, of using their voice in a divine way, of using their voice in a powerful way to help change this world, to speak out against our government, to speak out against the powers that be, the elites that are controlling us and enslaving us, to speak out against abuse, violence, rape, war, violent men, racist men and women, or whatever it is. Now, I need to be clear. We do speak out. We all hide behind social media and we rage out and we judge and we attack. Uh-oh. You're part of who needs a goddamn throat chakra clearing. You're part of the ones who need to elevate your level of consciousness so you're not here spewing hate and viciousness and defensiveness and attacking people for using their voice for good. 2 sides of the same coin. You ready? 2 sides of the same coin are those who are afraid to speak up and speak out against people who are doing violent, hurtful, harmful things. They're afraid to speak up and speak out. They're afraid to speak universal truth. None of this my truth bullshit. The way of truth. They're afraid to speak out. And the other side of that same damn coin are the people who spew shit all over the place. They're not afraid to speak out at all, but what they're speaking and spewing is, inequality or hate or victim consciousness or violence or aggression or judgment, right? That is just the other side of the same goddamn coin. So it's really important that we understand divine beings are here to use their voice, to literally use their voice to vibrate and spread and share frequencies that are enlightened frequencies, frequencies that empower people, that encourage people, that teach people with true level of education, elevated levels of um, spiritual education, of wisdom, the way of wisdom. Okay. Not ever again coming from a selfish agenda, right? It's like, it's not about me. Like, I don't do what I do and come from a selfish agenda. I don't come from a selfish place. I am the way of selfless service. I am the way of truth. I am the way of trust. I am the way of integrity. I am the way of purity. I am the way of wisdom. Like, I am the ways of oneness. I don't come from any selfish agenda. Okay. And using your voice to speak is two things happening with this elevation in our throat chakras. The people who are still powerless, weak, afraid, they're afraid to use their voice for good, for power, to help change this world. They are being immensely challenged and tested. And a lot of them are the ones that are experiencing tonsillitis or strep throat or laryngitis because they can't speak at all. Your voice is being taken away from you because you're too afraid to use it, that kind of thing. Um, Even just a sore throat, just feeling a little bit under weather, having sore throat. That's not the fucking weather, guys. So I see that happening. And then I also see people who use their voice to trick you, to manipulate you, to sell you things, to take your money for selfish reasons. Okay. There are a lot of really good, incredible people in this world who teach and heal and coach at all different levels, all different levels. And we need all the levels, you guys. We need the levels. We need and this is my analogy I always go to. We need the people, we need kindergarten teachers, elementary school teachers, junior high school teachers. You never make it to a doctorate level if you didn't go through that first. That's my analogy that I always go to. It's no different in coaching or spirituality and mystical teachings. You need people at different levels to teach at the lower levels, or they'll never be able to receive the highest levels of spiritual teaching. They wouldn't comprehend it, right? There's steps to take. There's levels to pass through to expand and elevate enough to receive the next level higher. That should be very easy to understand, right? But so there are people at all different levels. And like I said, my example, like 5th grade, you have to be able to pass 5th grade before you could ever understand 10th grade work, right? Different levels. Okay. So now that we're crystal clear on that, there are people in the world that are doing really wonderful things at different levels. Some of them are those lower levels, again, not inferior, needed. I'm not talking about, as I continue, I'm not talking about people that teach at different levels. We need people at all levels. I'm talking about the people who don't know jack shit and call themselves teachers in order to make money off of you, in order to selfishly feed their ego and their egoic agendas, their shadow self agendas, with just being famous and popular and getting all the likes and the followers and, manipulating you and tricking you into thinking that they have all this wisdom when all they've done is regurgitated a bunch of shit from other people that they've read from, learned from, listened to. They regurgitate a bunch of shit, make millions of dollars. You're tricked, you're fooled. Okay. I'm talking about those people who use their voice to, lie in their marketing. They use their voice to trick you into, buying from them, following them, paying for their whatevers. Okay. Those people, I'm noticing with this massive up leveling, this ascension in our throat chakras, I'm noticing that those people, you're seeing more and more that the truth, the actual truth is coming out. And for some of them, I can see that the truth for some group of people in the world, the truth about them won't actually begin to be realized by others until later the end of this year. But I see that shift starting and the momentum, the energetic momentum and moving forward with that. I see that it got activated and it started. Okay. So, for those of you who are really here to heal yourselves, to elevate, to become as highly conscious as possible, for those of you who you're here to help change this world, to create a beautiful, new, loving earth that is filled with, you know, unity and oneness and support and health, good health and healthy food and, beautiful communities, doesn't mean we won't still have challenges. We came here to have challenges. That's one of the many reasons we incarnated on this planet, is when we go through challenges while we are here as humans, it allows our souls to expand in a different way that wouldn't expand in that way if we didn't have a challenge for us to move through, evolve through. We evolve and elevate and become a more expanded, more elevated being when we move through challenges. We will always have different forms of challenge while we're here on earth during our life experience, during our earth experience. That doesn't equate to we will always suffer. It is not one and the same. You don't need to suffer. You're going to experience emotional pain. You're here to experience emotions across the whole gambit, across the whole spectrum of what emotions are. You will experience painful emotions. Um, but on the same note, you don't have to suffer. Experiencing grief because you've had a loss isn't suffering, it's pain. There is a difference. You're going to have that pain. How could you not? You lose a loved one, you lose your soul companion dog, you lose your spouse or a child or a parent or a close dear friend that you have so much love for, which is just family. We're all family, you guys. We're all family. Blood or not doesn't mean anything. Like, we are all family. You lose people that you love, you're going to experience that loss. You're going to have that grief, and grief is painful. It's very painful. And when you move through that pain, it is allowing you, it's giving you the opportunity to grow and elevate into a more evolved being, even through loss. Okay. So we are here to experience joyous, wonderful, incredible things, loving things. And we are also here to experience very challenging things. Even the emotionally painful experiences are really here for us. Okay. Suffering is not. Our lack of wisdom creates our suffering. Our lack of power creates our suffering. Remember, pain is not suffering. Suffering is chronic unhealed pain. So our lack of power, our lack of wisdom, when we don't know how to process our grief, when we don't know how to process what's happening, when we don't know how to elevate out of an experience, when we've had a terrible traumatic experience, for example, terrible, horrific, very traumatic experience. If you've had that and you don't know how to process and alchemize that energy, that stays trapped in there. That is what then over time creates suffering, because it creates mental programs, emotional programs, and behavioral programs that keep you trapped in that lower vibrational frequency. You're now still trapped to some degree in the trauma, meaning in that vibrational frequency that was created during that traumatic experience. Do you understand? When you're trapped in that energy because you don't know how to alchemize it, because we don't grow up learning this. Why don't we grow up learning this? Because we're in a system of enslavement, brainwashing you so you have no idea how powerful you are, the power that you have to actually heal even the most horrific things. And that never diminishes what that trauma was for you. Never. It never dismisses it or downplays it. But you have the power to actually heal from it. That emotional trauma, the spiritual trauma, the mental trauma that was created. Okay, you do have the power to do it. But if you're kept powerless and small and in ignorance of not knowing how, and you're never taught that, then you're now trapped in suffering, the aftermath, the energetic aftermath of that terrible, painful thing that happened. And speaking up and speaking out, using our voices for those of us who actually know how to heal everything, and using our voices to teach other people how to do that. That is what people are being called to step up and do. We are being called to use our voices for that in oneness. We are being called to use our voices to speak out against the corruption, against being stolen from our own government, against the lies and the corruption and the fraud that in the United States of America, that our own country, our own government is contributing to, orchestrating, carrying out all the time. And we are being called to heal our fears of, oh my God, what's going to happen? Right? Because the more we elevate and heal ourselves, become more divine, vibrate at a much higher vibrational frequency that does not include, fear and powerlessness and weakness and what other people think. I'm afraid of what other people think, or it matters what other people think of me. When you vibrate in oneness and enlightened vibrational frequencies of the ways of oneness, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks of you. It means nothing. It's ridiculous, because if they're judging you, that's a fucking program. Their low level of consciousness, not you. Why would you care what someone else thinks of you when they're the ones coming from judgment? It doesn't make any sense. They're the ones coming from judgment. Why would you care if somebody is attacking you and judging you and misogynistic or racist or hateful or whatever it is that they're being? Why would that actually, why why would you care that what their opinion is when that is the level of consciousness? Does it make sense? Right? So all of this is part of what I see in the collective right now as far as a massive healing. And it's funny because I procrastinated recording this particular topic on this podcast a little bit, because just other things came up and I didn't think it was a massive priority to put this one out. And what's funny about that is everyone around me started getting really sick. I have tonsillitis, I have strep throat, I have laryngitis, I can't speak, I lost my voice. Oh, my throat hurts, I don't want to talk, I lost my voice. All around me constantly, everybody. And it's just so I was like, okay, I need to record and let some people know that if you're having these physical symptoms and you're getting quote unquote thick in this way, you're being called to elevate. You're being called to heal your programs of fear, of speaking out, of speaking up. You're being called to face those fears and also face the up leveling of some people in our society that will attack you and try to harm you if you do speak up. Like, that's why the throat chakras are going crazy, because we cannot be silenced anymore. We cannot be silenced anymore. You should not be able to be silenced anymore. And that doesn't mean that we use our voices in hate, in inequality. If you do, you're one of the ones that needs to be fucking gagged and sit down and shut the fuck up. Like, we are not here to use our voices for that. Do you understand? Never are we here to use our voices in hate, in judgment, in inequality. Like, that's not in superiority. That's not why we're here, to spread that energetically. When you use your voice and speak divinity. And that is never, ever, and I mean ever, about being religious of any kind. Because quite frankly, almost every damn religion, their voices need to shut the fuck up, because they do the majority of the brainwashing on this planet. Those are the voices that need to go away and stop ringing in your goddamn ear, chirping in your ear. You need to use your voice to speak up in as the way of truth. Think about that. Let that sink in. Your voice, when you are healed and you are powerful, you use your voice. The words that come out of your mouth come from the way of purity, the purity of wisdom, divinity itself, of loyalty to growth, to healing, to elevation, right? Of harmlessness and gentleness. That does not mean that there's not, a time where it's actually appropriate to shout from the rooftops. That can be absolutely divine. Guys, stop putting things in a fucking box and acting like the only way to be peaceful or divine or enlightened is fill in the blank. It looks like this. I'm going to put that in a box. And if you ever don't look and sound like that, you're not divine. You're not elevated. You're not enlightened. How fucking ignorant are you? This is the ridiculousness that needs to end. Okay. Divinity power does not always look and sound the same 1 minute compared to the next. What is the difference in learning that you're coming from a powerful place versus an egoic one, or a powerless or weak, pathetic, energetic state of being? How do you know the difference when 1 minute divinity and power looks like you're screaming and shouting about something, yelling, passionate, right? And the next minute, mellow and chill, or the next week or something, and it'd be literally minute by minute. I'm just giving a contrast, a comparison here, that somebody can be peaceful and mellow and chill. Oh, that person must be enlightened. That could be the most manipulative con artist you've ever met in your life. In fact, people that know how to manipulate often realize that they need to always come across as mellow, even keeled, cool, calm, and collected. Some of the most manipulative masterminds in the fucking world. No, don't show a lot of emotion. Keep your tone of voice a certain way. Some of the worst predators in the world know how to do that in their communities. Know how to show up and look like that. Look like nothing ever bothers them. They're never rattled by anything. They don't show a lot of emotion. And you're tricked into thinking, oh my God, that person's like chill, even keeled. When meanwhile, it's a show because they're manipulating and they're wearing masks. A lot of people in the spiritual community do this. I've seen it for years. And they're making millions of dollars off of people. And it's all a show. It's all fucking fake. It's not all spiritual people, obviously, but there are some. It's just a show. They're just regurgitating a bunch of shit that they've read and learned from other people. They're saying it in a way where they're manipulating you to follow them and pay for their shit. I see this a lot, right? So how do you know? When you elevate your vibrational frequency, when you elevate your level of consciousness, and you use your voice, your throat chakra, when you're activating your throat chakra with divinity by using your voice from a divine place, it's never about regurgitating a bunch of shit you heard in order for it to sound good because you're saying it. You're doing one of two things. You're either a pure channel for wisdom because you came here to be an actual teacher, okay? Or you're sharing the wisdom that you've learned from a teacher, because that's sharing and spreading the wisdom for other people, right? Not pretending like you're the channel of that wisdom. That would lack integrity. That's not the way of integrity. That's not the way of truth. Think about how many people out there making millions of dollars off of you guys, and that is what they have always done. Not a channel for sacred wisdom. They're regurgitating a bunch of stuff they heard, they package it up, and then they make millions of dollars off of it, acting like they're the ones that the wisdom flows through, right? There's nothing wrong with sharing wisdom. We should be sharing what we learn. But if you are the way of truth, and you are the way of trust, and you are the way of integrity, you don't pretend like it's yours. You share the source of that, right? You give credit to, the author or the teacher or the whatever. And I'm giving some of these examples because we're using our throat chakra in a less than integrous way. We lie, we withhold truth, which is lying by omission. We do these things sometimes, and then we wonder why we get so confused and we don't know which way is up anymore, right? So, in 1 minute, it might be perfectly divine. It might be the best possible choice, most powerful choice to be mellow and chill and relaxed and quieter. And then the next minute or the next day or the next week, shouting from the rooftop. How do you know how to use your throat chakra? It isn't that you're enlightened if you are always mellow. That's fucking ridiculous. I just went over that. Some of the most master manipulators and predators, actual predators in the world, behave that way. That's a behavioral program to trick people into trusting them. Hmm. Let that sink in. Now, because our consciousness for thousands of years has been separation consciousness, where our minds immediately go, well, then don't trust anybody who's mellow. That's where your mind goes. Somebody who's mellow and chill, you're like, oh my God, I wonder if they're a predator. That's ridiculous. That is your separation consciousness mind coming online. Don't do that. You're misunderstanding my teachings if that's where you're going. But it's not a judgment, it's just become aware of that. Sometimes it is appropriate to be mellow and chill and quieter, right? Or even passive, not even saying or addressing anything. And other times to be powerful and use your voice in a very, make it louder. And like I said before, like shout from the rooftops, maybe even. It's having the passion flow through. How do you know what is appropriate when it's appropriate? That cannot come from mind. And that's the problem we have. People are not awakened for real, and they love to think that they are. Because they're like, "Give me the strategy. Give me how I'm always supposed to be." Well, you're not always supposed to be the same. Let that one sink in too. You're not always supposed to be the same. We're eternal beings that grow and expand continuously all the time. So it's not about being exactly precisely the same all of the time. It's about becoming who you need to become, what is called for in that moment. Are you powerful enough to become what the situation needs you to be in any given moment? That is the real question. And in this given moment, it might be not worth addressing. Be passive. Don't say a word because it doesn't matter. In this moment, it doesn't matter. It is a waste of energy and a waste of time to respond, to say anything, to address it. And sometimes that is the most enlightened path to take. Sometimes lowering our voice and being softer and speaking more slowly and pausing and giving that verbal space in between our words or sentences. Sometimes that is the most enlightened way to be, right? And other times, laughing and making jokes and saying the most horrific dark humor, letting that fly out of your mouth, making fun of the situation, because that could be the most enlightened way to be. And other times, screaming and shouting and being passionate and having enough and telling everybody enough is enough. Sometimes that's the most enlightened way to be. How the hell do you know? Well, when you up level with your throat chakra, when you move through this up leveling, you will understand that in any given scenario, using your voice, and that includes being silent, is it the most enlightened way to be, the most powerful, divinely powerful way to be right here, right now, in this moment? What is my voice meant to be used for right here, right now, in any given moment? And if somebody is across from you, a friend, a spouse, or something, if they are in emotional pain, they're hurting, they're sad, they're frustrated, for example, sometimes using your voice is to not use your voice, is to become the way of presence, that active listening, that presence, that divine spaciousness, energetic divine spaciousness that you are offering to that person. And that is sometimes not using your voice at all or almost at all, or using your voice and asking them, what can I do to make you feel really supported by me right now? And that might be all you use your voice for in that moment. Sometimes in the way of presence, as the way of presence, somebody's having a rough time. Sometimes all that you need to say, I hear you. I understand. I hear you and I understand. Sometimes that's it. That's all it takes. Okay. Other times, using your voice in a divine way as your throat chakras are being elevated more and more is to say no. And in case you've never realized it before, no is a complete sentence. N-O, period. No, that doesn't work for me. I'm not willing to do that. Nope, now's not the time. But if I could just get a little, nope, I'm done for the day. 12 hours nonstop work. One of my long days, I'm done. I don't care what you need from me. You need nothing from me. Connect to your own fucking divinity. I'm exhausted. I'm not depleting myself any more than I've had to do today. The answer is no. Figure it out on your own. Talk to me tomorrow. Sometimes that is using your voice instead of always allowing yourself to, put yourself last or to be run ragged or to overextend yourself, using your voice to set the boundaries that some of you need to learn how to set. Some of you need to learn how to set the goddamn boundaries, use your voice and set them. Others of you need to learn, quite frankly, how to shut the fuck up. Think about that. Open your heart and let that one in, because I say it with love. I'm never saying that with judgment. But some of you need to shut the fuck up. Oh my God, shut up. Stop interrupting. Learn to listen from your heart instead of listening to respond and react. Shut the fuck up. Some of you need to learn how to shut the hell up and stop fucking complaining about everything all the time, because you still do that. Oh my God. You're still complaining. Why are you still complaining all the time about everything? Fucking sucks. I just want to hear myself complain. I feel important. Someone validate me, please. I'm weak and in my powerlessness and I'm pathetic and I just want to hear my voice because then maybe someone will validate me. Someone please join me in my low fucking vibrational frequency so we can join and unite together in misery. Misery loves company after all. So some of you, shut the fuck up. Just shut up. Stop complaining. And others need to shut the hell up in projecting that people are complaining when they are expressing, speaking truth, or simply sharing. If you're not an elevated enough level of consciousness yet, you won't know. You will have no discernment among those. You will not be able to discern between sharing and complaining, between expressing the way of truth, what needs to be voiced out loud, what needs to be brought to the attention of the people, of the group, of humanity, of this community, of this country, whatever it is, what needs to be brought to the attention of people needs to be brought through the use of your divine voice. And those of you in your ignorance and your low level of consciousness and your own programming that you need to heal and elevate the fuck out of will project onto those people like they're complaining. There is a difference between complaining energy and speaking truth energy. Speaking truth energy is very powerful, and it is so powerful that it will trigger the fucking shit out of you. When you have programs and wounds that are unhealed, when you have programs that you're running that go against divine truth, you will be triggered. Welcome to awakening for real. You will be triggered by the voice that speaks the words of truth. You'll be triggered by the person using their voice to speak words of divine truth. You are the one who will be triggered, and then you will attack, and you'll most likely use your voice in a very fucking negative, unloving, horrific way by bitching and complaining about that person and saying they're wrong and they're this and they're that, and you'll judge them and you'll put them down and you'll complain about them behind their back and you'll stab them in the back, and then to their face you'll be, get the fuck out of here. And you wonder why a lot of you with your throat chakras, you're in pain, your throat's hurt, you have tonsillitis or laryngitis. Sometimes that laryngitis is teaching you, shut the fuck up with your goddamn negativity. Only use your voice. Only speak when it is divinity flowing through your vocal cords. So if you haven't yet experienced a sore throat, laryngitis, tonsillitis, strep throat, just a sore throat, massive amounts of people are experiencing that. If you haven't yet experienced it, you likely will. You likely will, right? Some of you will, not everybody goes through, like, even though the collective, quote unquote, goes through something, there are still individuals that won't go through that very thing at that moment in time. That's perfect. That's fine. You don't need to go through it at that moment. Totally fine. Some of you really, I'm being nudged to add this in there. Some of you who really use your voice in a beautiful way to help others, to uplift others, to coach others, to guide others, to teach others. And to the level that you function at, you are at the highest level for you to teach and guide and support. And you really are using your voice in a as divinely as you have reached whatever level you're at. You're at that highest level for you. Okay. And so, because I want to make this clear, for some of you are like, wait, but I didn't think I was using my voice for anything negative. Like, I try so hard to use my voice to spread power and teaching and divinity and, whatever. Positive, positive. Some of you who have been listening to this and you're like, but I don't think I use my voice in a negative way. I really don't. I try not to complain. I try not to be negative. I try to only use my voice in good, healthy, positive, powerful ways. That might be the case. And you still might have these symptoms. That could be you. And if that's the case, don't worry. It doesn't necessarily mean you're missing anything or something's being brought to your attention because you're actually using your voice in a negative way. It's just in a blind spot. So some of you, that's the case. Okay. But for some of you, all it means is that you are upgrading to a higher level. You're upgrading to a higher level. Your physical symptoms, ascension is your physical body elevating. Okay. It's the physical symptoms of your physical body holding more light, elevating to a higher vibrational frequency. So there is elevating, awakening, becoming enlightened spiritually, mentally, emotionally. All of those are energetic. I mean, everything is energetic, but I want to put this in a simple way in case some of you are a little bit newer to this stuff. That's energetic. The physical body, the symptoms of the physical body, that's what ascension is. That your physical vessel is elevating higher to a higher vibrational frequency, holding more and more light. So the physical symptoms that come with that, the sore throat, the sickness, the fatigue, the exhaustion, the whatever, okay? The physical symptoms is when your physical body is moving through ascension. Ascension is your physical body elevating to a higher vibrational frequency. Okay. Awakening, becoming enlightened spiritually, mentally, emotionally, that is enlightenment. That is the becoming. The ascension is your physical body. Okay. So I'm going to be clear on that because I know a lot of people get confused on that. Like, I'm ascending, I'm more awakened than ever before. No, your physical body ascends. Okay. Your consciousness elevates, expands, becomes enlightened. The ascension process is for the physical vessel. Okay. So I hope you're clear on that. So anyway, for those of you who really do use your voice in beautiful ways, sometimes that upgrade to your throat chakra is just to become even more powerful in your voice. And that's when you're going to get that sore throat, physical symptoms, right? Because we are being blasted with light. We're being called and invited to expand and elevate even more. And during that process, those of you who use your voice in really beautiful, magnificent, enlightened ways, you're just elevating even more. You're being called to go even higher, for your voice to become even more powerful. Maybe there are certain things that you used to be afraid to share or speak on, and now you're able to speak on them. Okay. You're not as afraid. And that's your upgrade in your throat chakra, right? So that's just a simple example. Um, so for those of you who've been going through it, and you know other people have been sick and their throats, sore throats, and whatever's, this is a massive, massive shift in our global awakening of people using their voice for good, for power. And I mean divine power, not egoic, right? And it's shutting down the people that have been speaking out for so long, when what they're speaking about is filled with corruption, negativity, lies, manipulation, right? All of that is coming to the surface, as well as people being invited to step into their power and use their voice for good, to rise up, to shut down the darkness, the negativity, which means transform it into the light that you are. More and more people are being called to do that. Use your voice to spread love, unity, divine power, enlightenment, healing, elevation, growth. That is what we're here for. Use your voice for that, and you will just, in synchronicity, you will integrate all the beautiful things that your throat chakra, which is presenting as tonsillitis or strep throat or sore throat or scratchy throat or, laryngitis or whatever it is, like that's presenting itself to you because you are upgrading right now. You are upgrading. So embrace the upgrade. Use your voice in a divine way only. And if you cannot use your voice, if you have an opportunity and you have the urge to not use your voice in a divine way, just shut up. Don't use your voice at all. Process, heal, elevate out of the programs that want you to use your voice in an unloving way, in a negative way, in a violent, aggressive way, in a judgmental way. All of that, it's time for all that to go. And I see this massive collective shift in the call to use our voices in the way of truth, harmlessness, and gentleness, in compassion, in the way of honoring, in the way of selfless service. I also see this beautiful shift along those same lines of people using social media more and more to show all the beautiful, positive, selfless, wonderful things that they're doing, versus what I used to see for years and years. I even wrote about it in Mason's Way in my book, that for so many years I saw people posting things on social media, and they were it was seemingly on the surface these nice selfless things, like, oh, look at me, I'm doing this selfless thing on social media, and they weren't, because they were only doing the nice thing to get the likes, get the followers, get the attention. That's manipulation, that's superficial, that's not authentic, that lacks authenticity. And how dare you're literally exploiting people by pretending to be loving and selfless and nice. Do this. Look at me. I'm doing this nice thing for this homeless person. You're actually exploiting them. Okay. That happened for years, which is why I mentioned it and even wrote about it. I mentioned it in my book. If that is the reason you're posting something on social media, to just make yourself look good, that's not selfless service. That is not the way of selfless service. That is not the way of integrity. That is not the way of trust. Like, you're a superficial fucking asshole, quite frankly. Knock that shit off. But the beauty is, what I've noticed in, I would say even especially the last year, so many more people are sharing these beautiful, loving acts of kindness on social media. And it's coming from this genuine, big, beautiful, divine heart. They're just sharing and spreading love. You can feel the energy is coming from a very different place versus what I used to see, which was this surface level, superficial bullshit. Not to mention, I met a lot of people posting stuff and they would post and put this image of themselves out. And I'm like, you are the most superficial, surface level, materialistic, ego driven, backstabbing, fucking asshole of a person that I have ever met. And yet your image online makes you look like the opposite. And you're a fucking horrible person. Met you. I've spent time with you. You are a fucking horrible person. Like, you are a fucking horrible person. And yet you only do this stuff to put an image. It's all fucking fake. Anyway, that's why I mentioned it, to bring the awareness to people. What is the real reason you're sharing anything that you're sharing when you post it? What is the real reason, when you put stuff out on social media? And I see so many more people using their throat chakra and what they're sharing from this place of divinity and this place of love and this place of, positivity and this place of, I don't know what else to do, but I want to do something to make this world a little bit of a better place. And I'm going to share this selfless thing I did, or I'm going to share this beautiful message, or I'm going to share, whatever it is. I have seen that shift. Thank God. That just makes my heart sing because I have seen that shift. And of course, there's still a lot of people putting the most horrible, horrific things on all over social media too. That still exists too, unfortunately. But I really have seen this shift. And it was almost like when I saw more and more and more this massive shift of people using their voice in a different way on social media from a more selfless, loving place versus this, I'm wearing a mask and trying to just put an image of myself. When I saw that shift, really in a massive way, like collectively, I saw this shift. It like crossed a threshold. And then all of a sudden, everyone's throat chakra, it's like, great, we're ready for an upgrade. People are really ready to put things out, to speak the truth, to speak things for good, to make real change happen. I'm willing to be the change I wish to see in the world, kind of thing. And then I see this massive upgrade in throat chakra collectively. It's beautiful to see. So I'm sorry if you have pain, physical pain in your throat. I'm sorry if you have a sore throat or laryngitis or something. I'm sorry, but not sorry. It just means you're upgrading. And that makes me very happy. I'm sorry for your discomfort, but I'm very happy that you're upgrading. So now that this is more on your awareness for some of you, and for some of you, it just validated what you already knew. I invite you to become the way of presence and be very conscious in the way of presence, as the way of presence. When you are posting, when you are speaking, when you are saying things, allow it to come from a place of truth, of trust, of integrity, of loyalty, of purity. Allow it to come from divinity itself, because you are divinity itself, even if you haven't fully integrated that into your humanness. The truth of what you are is divinity itself. That is the truth of what you are. So I invite you to become the way of presence in every way of oneness. In order for your voice to be used with and as a source of divine power, of the way of responsibility, of compassion, of connection, and what those enlightened universal ways of oneness actually mean. That vibrational frequency can be used as the spoken word. It is vibrated, shared, and sent to other people through the spoken word. Healing in other people can take place just through your spoken word. Once you yourself vibrate at those frequencies, simply by speaking, it activates healing, shifting, transformation inside of other people, inside of their physical body, inside of their energetic fields. All of their programs, their unhealed stuff is going to get activated and brought to the surface just through your spoken word, just by you speaking and using your voice from the vibrational frequency of divinity itself. Do you understand that? And that is what you can become. It doesn't mean every time you speak, oh, look at me, I'm spiritual. So when I speak, everybody gets healed because I'm amazing. Don't misunderstand and water down my motherfucking teaching, because that is not what I just said. And if that's how you interpreted it, go back and listen again. Okay. You have to become vibrationally what I'm speaking about. And once you achieve that, once you become those vibrational frequencies yourself, your spoken word alone starts to activate healing and transformation inside of other people. You could just be speaking and talking about what you did. I could sit here and tell you last night, um, I went with my husband and Ellie and Danny, two of our MSU coaches, and my dog Benson, my soul companion dog Benson. We all went to the farmer's market together last night, yesterday afternoon. That is all I could tell. I could just tell you the story about the farmer's market and how Benson got extraordinarily overstimulated. He's such a sensitive. He's a 115-pound Cane Corso, and he looks like he could kill you because technically he has the bite force of a stronger than a lion, and he could kill you if he really wanted to. He looks like he could kill you. He looks like he's a big scary beast, because in a way he is. And yet the poor guy got so overstimulated that he just wanted to melt into the pavement. I could feel him at one point. We went and kind of left the busyness, the hustle and bustle, and we sat down and we gave him a little break so he could collect himself. He's a very, very sensitive being, and he's still very young. He's still a baby. But anyway, um, literally, when you reach a vibrational frequency, that's your baseline frequency, not in a moment, not when you move through a healing, not when you achieve it today. Oh my God, it's the first time I felt this today. Well, this is amazing. Good. Keep going. I'm talking about your baseline frequency. When you achieve and become that, every universal way of oneness, why I teach what I teach, you guys, because you can become it. Damn it, you can. You all have it in you. When you become that, you could simply share a story about the farmer's market and your dog. You don't have to be teaching about something profound. And the vibrational frequency that goes into other people simply by using your voice activates them, starts to transform them. That is literally how this works. And you can become that powerful. You can become it, but you have to do the work to achieve your baseline frequency being those frequencies. Do you understand? Okay. And that is why I am always inviting you to get the coaching, move through our programs, read Mason's Way and at least start there if you haven't already. And if you have, read it again, slow down, spend 1 month or at least 2 weeks on just one chapter, digesting it, integrating it, becoming it. Go take the Introduction to the Universal Ways of Oneness digital course at Masters of Self University. You can do that one on your own time. It's a digital course offering, right? There are things that you can do to become. For crying out loud, get in our group coaching programs. That is one of the best things you could ever do. I mean that sincerely. Get into our group coaching programs with other people who are learning how to go this deep and transform themselves and alchemize things so that they can become higher vibrational frequencies as their foundational vibrational frequency. Stop suffering. You can only end emotional suffering, mental anguish, when you're willing to become someone different. That means a different vibrational frequency, a more elevated baseline vibrational frequency. Do you understand? And you have to put the work in to make it happen. You have to actually take action and learn new things. And you have to go through the death rebirth process. The old you has to die. The old you that is in suffering, the old you that holds on to suffering and complaining and using your voice for anything less than divinity itself. That old you has to die. And that old you dying in that way, as that metaphor goes, that spiritual metaphor goes, you die. And what's rebirthed is a more elevated, powerful, divine you. That is everything that we offer at Masters of Self University, is moving through that process. Okay. And whatever process if you're listening to this, you go through that process on your own. You found other ways to move through it on your own. That's perfect. Great. That's great too. So when I invite you to come to Masters of Self University, it's more of, if you haven't found what you're looking for and you've tried everything and you want something that actually works, I invite you to come. I want you to know we have the resources for you. If you have achieved this in other ways, good for you. Great. Right? Beautiful. I just want people to feel supported. And if you know other people need help, please share this with them. Please share Masters of Self University with them. Let them know they have a place to go. We know how to heal for real around here. We transform at the deepest level, at the soul level. Just know that you have the support, the guidance, the teaching, the expertise in how to do it. Okay? Take advantage of it whenever you're ready for that. And if you never need it and you just want to listen to other people speaking truth, that's what we're here for too. You get it? That's what we're here for too. Okay? I love to hear other people when they actually are teaching wisdom and truth. I love it. It's amazing. It makes me just incredibly happy to hear other people vibrating, speaking, teaching at the highest levels. I want nothing more than that. More and more people to become that. It's why I teach what I teach. It's why I do what I do. It's why I coach how I coach. Okay? In a system, in a world of oneness consciousness, which is the matriarch, by the way. That is a we system. It's not a me, selfish. We are leaving and dissolving and dismantling and alchemizing the patriarch, because it was a fucking horrific, corrupt, terrible system where people learn to dominate. Only one of us can be the man on top. I'm the number one. Dominant hierarchy, superior one, blah, blah, blah. Get the fuck out of here. That shit's going away. That system, that world is dying. And we are entering into a system where, with your upgrade in your throat chakras, we're using our voice to empower, to uplift in truth, not in selfishness, not in my wanting, that we all benefit from. And no, we don't all benefit in the same exact precise ways. That's fucking ridiculous, but that's for a different podcast. If you want to hear about that or you have questions about that, put it in the comments. So I would love to hear, by the way, and I mean this so sincerely, I would love to hear in the comments if you've been going through the upgrades of the throat chakra. If you realize that's what it was, or if you're like, oh my God, that's what it was. I would love to hear if you've been going through that. Seriously, countless people lately. I had to do a podcast on it. So anyway, I would love to hear if you're one of those people that has had the upgrade in your throat chakra. Put it in the comments. Like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you in the next podcast episode. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. It's wonderful to be here with you. I'll see you in the next one.